Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Today, we have a very special guest, Vish, and I'm Shahar. I'm a data engineering manager here in London. Vish, would you like to start with a quick introduction for those who don't know you?
Sure. I am Vish, based out of Menlo Park offices of Facebook. I head data engineering for ads and business platform. We're focused on data platform, data engineering work for all of our ads related products.
The first question for you is really what makes data engineering at Facebook different than other companies you've seen or worked at?
Facebook operates pretty much in all the countries across the world, and that means there is a lot of complex data which data engineering deals with. Some of the problems and challenges we are trying to address at Facebook, they do not have any reference solutions, reference architectures in the industry. And what that means is that data engineers have to come up with those reference architectures or reference solutions day in and day out. That I feel is very exciting as well as very unique about the role of data engineering at Facebook.
And when you talk about specific, like no reference implementation, is that from technology standpoint? Is that from product standpoint? Like how would you
It's
describe
a
that?
great question. So there is no reference implementation from a technology perspective as well as overall architecture. How do you manage, process that data, and how do you find solutions in an automated fashion out of that data? There is no reference architecture elsewhere because some of the challenges we are trying to address, both from a scale perspective as well as a complexity perspective, are truly unique. These are one of a kind, first of a kind problems which we are trying to address.
So Vish, can you try and paint me a picture of what might a day of like a typical day of a data engineer at Facebook look like?
The mission for data engineering at Facebook is deliver the best data foundation that drives impact through data informed decisions. So it's a kind of a broader blanket mission where we are focused on ensuring that we are able to identify the data which kind of be used to drive day to day product decisions. Uh, what that means is that if you kind of think about a product team at Facebook, think about a product such as take example of ads product or marketplace. Every product has five legs to its stool. There is software engineering, there is product management, there is a research team, data science, and data engineering. On a day to day basis, data engineers work with all these functions. So, if you're going to launch a new product or if you're going to amend any functionality, what happens is that as a team, these functions come together and discuss what our course of action is going to be. And through that discussion, obviously, our intention is to help organization drive decisions through information or data insights. So data engineers will work with all these teams to ensure that we have the right data captured at the right point so that we can curate that data and make that data available for kind of making decisions which will drive the direction and the vision for the product. So on a day-to-day basis, we will engage with engineers to ensure the proper logging happens, proper data is logged. We'll engage with product management, we'll engage with data science to understand what metrics we're going to measure our performance of the product by. We'll work with research teams to understand what their needs are as well. So it's a collaborative effort working across these functions to ensure right data is captured, curated, and made available.
You mentioned something really interesting, which is at Facebook, we have a very decentralized way of operating. It's not like there's one big warehouse team or there's one big centralized BI team, but data engineers are they kind of belong to each and every product. How do you think that works? And what are the pros and cons of that approach?
There are a lot of smart people we hire, and we want to make sure that we give them the freedom to kind of, come up with the creative ideas, creative solutions, and kind of work towards highest possible impact. What this means is that instead of having central system where the decisions are made centrally at one location, we have these product pods. They have full autonomy on decision making. They decide the vision of the product. They work on the product and the direction of the product. Um, Providing that empowerment, enabling the decision making at the pod level really helps individuals feel sense of ownership. It helps them drive the vision with the creativity they have. So far, this has worked really well. This also enables us to kind of operate, for example, in different locations across the globe seamlessly without creating any friction across product teams.
The mission of Facebook is to empower people to build communities and bring the world closer together. How do you think data engineers, help Facebook accomplish that mission?
In order to accomplish Facebook's mission, a lot of things need to happen from behind the scenes. Right products, right functionalities within products need to be developed. Data engineering is focused on creating an environment, developing data infrastructure, which enables organization to make data-informed decisions. I believe that data engineering plays a significant role in ensuring right features, right products are developed. Any friction within the user experience is identified and is minimized. Um, that way, we are able to kind of focus the product, and the delivery of the product is able to um, focus on establishing mission of the Facebook.
Can you talk me through your, career path and basically how you got to where you are today?
I have been fortunate to be working in the data industry as far back as I can remember within my career. I started career building data warehouses. I started career where I did some consulting work, but very quickly I moved on to building products. I was fortunate to be part of three startups, some successful, some not so successful, but that taught me significant number of lessons in terms of how to approach particular problem, how to listen to customers, how to test your ideas, etc. Um, all throughout my career, I have been focused on building products which developers will use. These are centered around data. So products like data visualization products, ETL products, analytic applications. So my journey took me from consulting work to startups to working with larger organizations. Before joining Facebook, I was kind of noticing where the industry was going. There was a big aha moment where I realized that data is becoming the product itself. That point in time, I decided to stop kind of working towards developing physical products which developers used and be part of company, be part of mission where data is being used to make data-driven decisions, data influence decisions. Um, that led me to discuss opportunities, possibilities with Facebook, um, and I decided to join Facebook.
I think you've had the experience of working both for very small startups and very large enterprises. Within that mix, what are the things you like, and how do you see Facebook on that scale?
Facebook offers a best of all worlds in a sense that we work in smaller teams, we move fast, we are empowered to make decisions. And that's a very startup like environment inside a bigger company. With startups, you always have to worry about a lot of constraints. You take funding, you have to ensure that certain milestones are always met because you don't know how long that funding is going to last. Facebook is a big company. Um, it provides you an environment and environment where you're empowered to take ownership and drive decisions and drive initiatives. That's a very startup-like environment. Whereas on a bigger scale, uh, with the Facebook scale, my day-to-day work, I can see most immediate impact. I could be working on a product, I could be working on an analysis which resulted into improvements in product feature, and I can see immediate impact which it made into the marketplace with our customers. That feeling, that experience is very unique to Facebook. With startups, it takes longer cycle for you to realize that kind of impact. So Facebook offers the environment, the maturity, the stability of a bigger organization, yet it enables a startup-like spirit within the organization. So that's why I say that Facebook offer best of both worlds in terms of larger benefits of a larger organization, at the same times the advantages of a startup.
So, Vish, throughout your career, I'm sure you've had like big aha moments or big lessons that you've learned. Can you walk me through some of them?
There are a lot of lessons I learned throughout my career. One biggest lesson which I learned, which I think is very valuable, which defined my career trajectory, which defined who I am today, is always be open. No matter how many years worth of experience you have, no matter how many different technologies you have worked with, no matter how many different types of businesses you have worked with, always be open, because your peers, your environment will have something to teach you, something to offer. If you're open, you shall receive. You will learn new techniques, you will learn new technologies, you will learn new ideas. Ideas will come your way, newer opportunities will come your way. It also makes you humble. Those two things go together, because when you're open, you learn. When you learn, you grow, and that reflects in kind of building your who you are, so to speak.
Is it important for a Facebook employee to use the products, and in general, like how have Facebook products impacted you personally?
I'll tell you a story. When my second child was born, my parents, who do not live with us, they are farther away from us, they visited us, but obviously they wanted to really enjoy the progress of the child as they go through the childhood phases. And we realized that we could use Facebook, created a private group. At that point, my parents were not necessarily savvy users of computer as a whole, or even mobile devices, and we were able to create their profiles. We were able to teach them how to use it, and we have been able to document the growth phases and the developments of my child through that group. And they, from 10,000 miles away, they were able to connect with that. They were able to connect with us on a hour by hour, day by day basis. When that group creation and sharing information happened, that was one of the biggest aha moment in terms of the way Facebook creates impact, by creating communities, helping bring people together. Um, it was very personal, very impactful, and you know, every day I kind of have that vision in my mind when I come to work. Even if I help one person find their friend using search, or one person create a group with their loved ones and share that information, or enable someone to sell products through marketplace, etc. And that really kind of drives me day to day, from impact perspective, what impact is possible if we do the things which we are doing in a consistent fashion, and help improve those products, so that even less savvy folks can also use the products comfortably without having to train them.
So, what traits or skills make of a good leader at Facebook?
Facebook is a very open, honest environment, highly collaborative environment. I think there are few skills which are really important. Being open for feedback, being open for learning new things, being open for different viewpoints is very critical, very important, because you have a lot of smart people around you and people have opinions. Be able to understand different points of views, process those, and do the right things for the company, for the users of the product is really important. Given that we within the data engineering, we interface with a lot of different organizations. Communication skills are of paramount importance. Communication, be able to collaborate with everyone you're working with, having your own vision which aligns with the company and the product vision is important. Having ability to influence individuals, be able to up level not only yourself but folks around you, your team members is also important. Towards the end of the day, how you inspire people around you, whether through your collaboration, through your ideas, through your work ethics, is what makes for a good leader.
Many people ask me, whether it's possible to make big impact at Facebook when you work for a regional office. You have teams scattered all over the place. What's your take on this?
At Facebook, we believe in empowering all of our employees. We hire people, we want to encourage them to think on their own, follow their passion, what they're passionate about. In order for us to create the kind of impact we are creating in the world, we need to innovate. We need to build products which are able to help us focus on our mission. What that means is that we cannot have centralized decision making all the time for every single product decision or every single business decision. Typically, our model is the product pods are self contained. That means within the product, when you think about a product, there are at least 5 legs to that stool. There is software engineering, product management, there's a research team, there's data science, data engineering. We strive to ensure that all these teams within a product for a product are co-located at one location. They're empowered to make decisions, they're empowered to create vision for their product. What this means is that individual teams, are driving individual products on their own. So being part of a team, whether it is located in Menlo Park or outside Menlo Park, really doesn't matter that much because you as an individual pod are driving that product end to end on your own. We have data engineering teams all around the world. This helps in a couple of ways. One is it helps us develop the cognitive diversity because we have users from all around the world. We would like to get software engineers, data engineers who are representing those different countries, different cultures to bring in that cognitive diversity so that we can build the right products for the users. There are a lot of differences in the way different people will use products from around the world. Some of those are driven by logistical limitations such as connectivity speeds, connectivity availability. Some of the functionality, some of the usages are driven by the cultural differences and the way people like to use the product. I think having teams which are spread out all throughout the world helps us build that cognitive diversity, the diversity in the way people think about building the products and building the solutions, really helps us focus on creating products which are global in nature, which are applicable to all parts of the world.
And in terms of impact, do you think that there is a difference between the impact you can make, let's say, in Menlo Park or in London or in New York, or are there big enough problems to solve everywhere?
We are all working towards achieving the mission of Facebook. All activities we do, all product development we do, ultimately is additive towards the company's vision. So there is no difference in whether you're working in a London office or whether you're working in Menlo Park office in terms of the kind of the extent of the impact which you can make. All of us are focused on company's mission. So I don't personally see that the quality and the extent of the impact which you could have sitting in Menlo Park versus London is going to be different. It's rolling up towards the same company mission and the vision of the company.
So Vish, at a company like Facebook, how much impact can you really make as an individual comparing to, let's say, being a manager or a leader in the organization?
At Facebook, you can have as much impact as a manager can have with a team as being an individual contributor. We are a strength-based organization. The ability for an individual to make impact is purely driven based on what they choose to focus on, what they're passionate about, and what they drive. Organizationally speaking, you don't have to be manager to drive larger impact. There are a lot of individual contributors who drive company level impact, who drive product level impact. It's really you want to think about impact as an end goal rather than thinking about the career ladders, whether individual contributors or managers. Both have equal opportunities to be impactful at Facebook.
So we often talk about data leadership, and that's something that comes up a lot in conversations. What does data leadership mean to you?
As data professionals, as data engineers, we use our craft to curate data sets, build new data sets, help define new metrics, come up with processing techniques which are extremely efficient. All through this, if you can enable organization, if you can make decision makers think about situations, think about problems they're not thinking about, by exposing the right data, by developing the right metrics to help them understand what they're not looking at, what they're not considering in defining a certain problem, defining a certain scope. I think that is a data leadership, data thought leadership, which is how do you help organization understand what the organization as a whole or individuals are not thinking about, the problems they're not thinking about, the opportunities they're not thinking about, and demonstrate empirically so that they start thinking about it, focusing on those, creating new opportunities, finding better solutions.
What are some of the technical challenges you find most exciting right now at Facebook?
What is really exciting for me is the scale factor. We have to think about solutions which can scale. The three V's of the data, we have volume, we have the velocity, and we have the variety of the data. The challenges which we are faced with, we don't have industry reference solutions in architectures. That means data engineers are forced to innovate, find the solutions at scale to be able to address the challenges in a timely fashion. So you are challenged not only to work with solutions which have to scale, which have to perform really well, as well as handle very complex data which is coming through the system.
So, Vish, can you describe to me the partnership between data science and data engineering? These are two very similar functions in a way, or two functions that collaborate very closely and even have a little bit of overlap. How do you see that?
Every product pod at Facebook has five different components, at least five different components. Um, there is a software engineering, there is product management, there is research team, data science, and data engineering. From a data perspective, data engineering's mission is to build the best data foundation and data platform which will help data influence decisions within the product. Data science obviously is a major partner in which they will provide a lot of their needs to data engineering from the perspective of what data should be there in order for them to do market fit analysis, in order for them to find opportunities or carry out their experiments, etc., etc. They are not the only partner we as data engineers work with. Product managers, software engineers, or even research teams will provide the data requirements to data engineering as well. Now, if you look at the industry and how different roles are defined within the industry for data engineers and data science, there are, depending upon type of industry you work with, there are certain overlaps within those roles. But at Facebook, data engineers focus on establishing the data platform, which will enable the data decisioning, etc., etc. We work very closely, collaboratively with data science to help them help themselves. We build the foundation, they make use of that foundation. It's in order to find opportunities for the product, in order to debug any situations, etc., etc. In that, what happens is that we will have extensive collaboration. There will be some back and forth because when you have a question to be answered, or when you're trying to find or define an opportunity, uh, it's not always black and white requirements. A question might lead to few other questions, and that might necessitate for us to build more data sets so that those questions can be answered. So it's a very collaborative relationship. We want to make sure that data science is able to create impact by focusing on the questions which they want to answer, and there is a data platform to support answering those questions.
And you talk about collaboration. Are there any boundaries that we draw between these two roles?
We are working as a team um, to ensure to achieve the mission of the company. Good intentions are always assumed. Whenever there are requirements which are coming back and forth, depending upon the capacity, depending upon what needs to be done, at times different people will wear different hats. Sometimes data engineers will jump in and help data science with the analysis. Sometimes data science team will jump in and help building pipelines as well. The focus is the end goal, and we work with each other to ensure that that end goal is achieved in a timely fashion, in a very efficient fashion. So, in terms of artificial boundaries, because we work as a team, um, we try to focus on what our strengths are. We try to focus on the context in which we are working and get the job done.
So why do you think now is a good time to consider joining Facebook as a working place?
There are over 2 billion users using Facebook every month. Facebook is creating global impact all across the globe, all across the cultures, all across the regions. At the same time, in order to achieve that, we are also solving some challenging problems. We are solving problems which have not been solved. Within Facebook, we empower our employees to follow their passion, to come up with solutions which have not been defined, but we need to address those solutions. If you enjoy being challenged, if you like to work with um, fellow employees who will inspire you day in and day out, and if you are really passionate about creating impact all across the globe, Facebook is the right place for you. We continue to grow, we continue to take on challenges which are new, which are one of a kind. And if this is something you want to do, Facebook is the right place for you to join. And we are growing as we speak.
What tips do you have for people to apply for a job at Facebook if they don't know anybody working for Facebook?
A lot of times when I meet people and talk to people, people feel that they're not quite ready yet, or they do not fit the profile which Facebook would like to hire. Couple of things I would like to say about that. First is we have hired a lot of people from different career paths. So don't assume whether Facebook will like to hire you or not to hire you just looking at a snippet from the job description. The best thing to do would be to go to facebook.com/career and look at open positions, apply through that. Every resume which gets submitted for the role of data engineering gets reviewed. Facebook hires a lot of diverse skill set, a lot of diverse career paths. So don't hesitate to apply and take the process further.
If I want to interview to Facebook today and I start the process, what tips do you have for me?
I'm going to be somewhat going to give a generic guidance, so to speak. There are a lot of resources. If you go to Facebook career site, there are a lot of resources Facebook offers in terms of what are the Facebook values, how the interviewing process works. There are certain videos about from our recruiting teams as well. Make sure you do your homework. When you get into interviewing situation, we are going to cover broader topics. During your day-to-day job, you're going to be focused on a certain solving a specific problem. You're laser focused on that. You tend to get narrowly involved, deeply involved in that. But from the interviewing perspective, we are going to cover several topics in a broader sense. So the best thing to do is prepare well. Take your time to prepare, brush up on concepts, prepare well. Your recruiter, your Facebook recruiting team is going to be your ally in that. They will provide you resources, they will provide you how the interview structure will be. follow that, listen to the way they're providing input, prepare well, be yourself, and give it a try.
Thank you so much, Vish. That was really, really insightful. Really appreciate the time today. Always a pleasure.
Thank you for your time. As we say at Facebook, the job is only 1% done. There are yet bigger, better, and even more challenging challenges ahead of us. And I'm pretty excited about what future holds for us, Facebook, and the impact we can create on the rest of the world.